What? You sold your home for $100,000 over list price? How can that even be possible? Well, right now, believe it or not, it's happening. We just recently sold in Broadview for $105,000 above list price, and Crown Hill went $140,000 above list price. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Hill with Sandra Brenner of the Brenner Hill Team at 𝑊𝑒'𝑚𝑒. So, if you saw our previous video, you found out one strategy to make sure you actually get to keep the amount of money you go under contract for. There are plenty more things to consider when selling your house for significantly more than it's possibly worth, or considerably more than the neighbors have recently sold for. The first would be to see if the buyer would be willing to remove the appraisal contingency altogether. However, many buyers aren't willing to do that. So another alternative is to see if any of the buyers are willing to pay a specified amount if the appraisal comes in below the contracted price. How can this be helpful, or why would it matter? You see, if someone really wants your home, they may be willing to pay any amount for it. But as we learned before, the bank is only going to a loan on what it appraises for. If the buyer removes the appraisal contingency altogether, it's sort of like writing a blank check. That can't be certain to what the home will appraise for. So they have no idea what the difference is and how big of a check they may have to write. Understandably, many buyers are afraid to do this.
So the next best option is to have them agree to a specific amount that they will pay over the appraised value if the home does not appraise. Here's an example. Let's say you agree on a sales price of $850,000, and as a seller, based upon the advice of your broker, you know the home will most likely not appraise for that amount. The first option would be to counter removing the appraisal contingency. The second option would be to ask the buyer to bring in additional funds if the home does not appraise. So let's say the buyer is willing to pay $20,000 over the appraised value. If the home only appraised at $800,000, that means they would be willing to pay $820,000. But that would mean that the seller would get $30,000 less than what was originally agreed upon in the initial contract. Not cool. Again, there's a lot to consider when selling your home. It's not always as cut and dry as it may seem. So what's the answer? How do you protect yourself? Call a professional. Call us here at the Brenner Hill Team. We've helped and protected hundreds of clients just like you, and we would love to help you as well. So get in contact with us. We are Steve and Sandra, Elevated Service, Elevated Results.